Welcome back to another episode of the Blitz Break. I'm your host, Phil Rasmussen, and I am joined by two of my co-hosts and returning guests this week for what will be a fun conversation and discussion back and forth. So I'm excited to get started with this, and welcome back, as always, Julie, our social media guru and resident guest scheduler too as well.
Oh, hey, I'm glad to be back. I've missed you guys.
The queen of consistency.
Oh, yes.
That is right. That is right. Sales extraordinaire. And back again, our behind-the-scenes producer and sales leader on the Big Valley Mortgage front, Justin Ingolia.
Yeah, I didn't screw up too bad the first time.
You didn't. It was I had to really debate whether or not we could put you in front of the camera again, and whether whether you were shaking your boots in terms of the nerves. But no, we get to kind of shift gears and focus on some things this week for another episode. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and we get to kind of jump into what I think this week I was really looking forward to do is to get a chance to pause for a second, and as we've gotten off and running, kind of take stock of the various things that we've covered, the things that we've seen thus far, and some of the things that some of our guests that we've had a chance to visit with have brought to the table, and kind of how that all aligns with us shifting into October 2026 business planning and what we all should be thinking about. So, I jumping in kind of not so much chronological order, but reverse. Going back to last week with Jason Flory and his book, I'm still carrying a level of guilt that I haven't written my own book that's been sitting in my queue for like 8 years now. So he left me very motivated to go finish doing that. But his look at AI and Julie, thanks for lining them up and getting them here, because not only was Jason great, but Chelsea was fantastic in combination. So love to kind of get your guys' takes on some of the things that we covered and they discussed, as well as some of our other guests.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have Jason's book right there. Do we want to grab it?
So for our audience here, if you hadn't already taken a look, this is Jason Flory's Empowered Aigents, a really quick, easy, down to the tasks you want to know on how to use AI and insert it into your business in practical application ways. So if you haven't checked it out, take a look, pick it up. We'll put the links in the description here, and go pick it up.
And I think that book is perfect for somebody who's a little scared to jump into the whole AI world. So it's an introductory, like 30 to 40 minute read. You can finish the entire book. And there is just an easy way to kind of ease into the tub, into AI. So highly recommended.
Yeah, I absolutely loved some of the things that he was saying. And one of the key takeaways for me was it wasn't replacing him. He was just using it to empower him and to be able to do the things that he wanted to do, like write the book. But it didn't take over for him. It just empowered him to do it. And it was like, that was a cool, like, kind of the emotional takeaway.
It does focus on efficiencies instead of just like making everything AI. If the agents, you leverage it to be more efficient, to build the relationships. That's where the win is. And I think he touches on that. He does. In that book.
Yeah.
He had a good, the one-liner that he used, which was a really memorable quote for me, was AI is not taking your job as a real estate agent. Agents that use AI are taking your job as a real estate agent, right? I like that. And I think that applies across industries, right? Those of us that figure out how to use it to make more productivity, more efficiency, more value delivered to the customers, more value delivered to partners, and in general, just accomplish better results are the ones that are going to not only get more business, but have the opportunity to build stronger relationships. So,
the meeting you and I were in Dallas, we were, one of the key takeaways from like the little AI breakout session was, AI is not here to take your job. It's here to multiply you. And it's here to do things and do tasks that you really don't have time to do. So it multiplies you, your ability, your strengths, and fills in the gap where you're weak. And so it was like, that's kind of a really good way to frame it and to put it into your day-to-day, is be like, hey, how can this multiply me?
Yeah, on the subject of AI, I actually attended an AI seminar too, and I think he might have been at it. But it really talked about when you develop your prompts, this is a little bit more into the prompts.
Yeah.
how the more that you structure your prompt, like, who are you? Who's speaking right now? I'm a salesperson. I'm trying to target this particular person. So the more intricate you are on your prompt, the better and more sophisticated the answer is. So just for number one, I did A, B, and C. Who are you, and who are you delivering the message to? That has to be right up front. The middle has to be, what are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to accomplish? And be very detailed in that. And then the final, what result do you want?
Yeah.
So as a title rep, I'm targeting a top 1% agent. I talk all about the agent and their business. And then the end would be, I want to develop trust and I want to earn a transaction from them. And that just, boom, in seconds has the email for me. So that is like working efficiently, right? Instead of trying to draft it myself.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that I've known, but I would say just over the course of like the last 3 to 4 weeks, it's really been not only reinforced, but it's kind of prompted me to take a more targeted approach in my activities and action, which is when you sign up with just like using Chat GPT as an example, just for like the $20 a month account, right? Those conversations, if you are willing to have the back and forth and give it feedback about what you like about the delivery, what you like about the tone, about the way that you want it to come across, and continue that conversation, those answers become more and more in sync with your voice, the way you would say it, the way that you want to approach it, and you start having all sorts of new doors open in terms of how you can use it. And right now I'm using it a lot in the mornings when I've got my to-do list of things that I want to get done that day. And instead of going through what used to be my kind of get the brain going cycle and try to start building the free flow thinking, I'm able to fire a few of those things into Chat GPT, and it accelerates that process because it spits back out kind of the kind of binge thinking responses that's like, oh, okay, boom, 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 and now I'm at step 9 in 5 minutes as opposed to maybe 45 minutes.
Oh, 100%. It gets you rolling so much faster.
Yep.
It kind of gets you into that flow state because a lot of times, if you're creative, I tend to lean more on the creative side of things. And so you get so bogged down by the creativity where it's like, I just got to get past that hurdle, like that, almost that writing block, if you will.
Yes.
And so once you're past that writing block and you get kind of more of that flow state, you're like, oh, it just gave me another caveat to run down, and now I'm thinking of 20 different things, and now I feel like I got a much more succinct thought because I've been able to brain dump, or just it got me over that hurdle of that initial creativity block.
Talking about efficiencies with even social media, even writing captions. We'll talk about TikTok or TikTok Shop. Just to go Chat GPT, write a viral caption for TikTok for this particular product. Boom, seconds, copy paste, done. Clean it up a little bit, and it's been a game changer for me.
Sure.
Just in terms of the speed and I think learning how to use it, the human element that I think my message to everyone is now very clear. Like, your critical thinking has to be in how can it make my day faster, better? How can it improve my ability to get things done faster? And how can it allow me to accomplish more? And then from there, how can it create better experiences for my partners and customers? And when you start thinking like that and exploring it, I think that's the step that you can't bypass that. And I think some people who are maybe a little more challenged by it are not thinking that type of critical thinking about its own value to them yet. So they're not able to get it to provide them with consistent.
Yeah, you have to let those walls down, and you have to just give it all the information. You have to give it everything, even if it's, my wife makes fun of the prompts that I write, to your point on prompts, because I give it too much information. But I'm like, if it knows everything, if I can dump all of this information, even like what you said with your agents of, I would like to get a transaction out of it. You're like, I want to get a transaction and be able to follow up. I want to do this. I want to do that. I think maybe this could help. Maybe and I'm just dumping all that information in there. And it's pulling that, to your point, the brain dump, and it's just giving me that succinct thought that has all of that.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. Yeah.
It is.
It really is. It's so helpful. And you just have to trust that you're not giving it too much information. You have to trust that it will sound like you, and you might have to alter things slightly. It's funny, we had to write copy for an advertisement that was going in a magazine, and it wrote the most perfect idea, but it just, because it's AI, it was just missing the poeticness. All the words were right. All the words were in the correct order. The message was there, but it just needed some like bridging words that just made it feel more poetic. And it was fun to like kind of take that, break apart what it had said, and then just rearrange the words a little bit. And it gave it a much more poetic feel. But we could have gone with exactly what AI had pushed out, but it was like, hey, this was important. It was an important piece of copy that I thought it was kind of telling us a different story that we wanted to go down. So, but it was really enjoyable to be like, hey, these are all the right words, and just noticing that element of, hey, it's still not human, it's still not right, but it's got all the right words. It was funny to have all the right pieces. They just needed to be kind of reframed and mixed up to sound poetic and flow a little bit better. So you still get to be involved.
The involvement and the progression, and I think the kind of aspect of creating more opportunity to be thoughtfully human in the business. Obviously, we're talking about that a lot, but speaking to both Jason and Chelsea, listening to Jason talk about his leadership style, what his focus was, completely sunk in with me in terms of how I think and what I think truly leading people is about. So it was really fun to hear him have that, and the idea that he's able to actually accomplish more of that with the way that he's operating is, that's a tangible value that he's creating to the people that are on his team, right, and to his clients. And I think that's really cool. And Chelsea in particular, one of the things that stuck out to me was, here's someone who, to all of us, shouldn't be apprehensive at all about being on camera or using it, but openly talks about this is new to her, getting used to it. Fantastic, very comfortable on camera, uses AI in really effective ways on the title side to help. And I thought it was really cool because it was a really good example. Both she and Jason, like, this is stepping a little out of their comfort zone
for sure,
and watching the results, come back and see like that level of confidence. And Jason touched on it actually, and I think a social media post later that really is a big one. So I thought that was really cool. And then you touched on some of the ad copy, but what we went through with Katie McDiarmid, right, and what she's doing with SAC Real Producers. I mean, that's human to human connection.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that. I was going to transition when you were talking leadership. It was like one of the most fun aspects of doing the podcast and being behind the scenes and being able to not have to think about what you're going to say next, but actually listening to what everyone says. You kind of connect all these pieces, and you take some leadership conversations with Jason and what he's doing with the AI, and then you hear someone like Katie who's talking to industry leaders in all facets of this industry, and you hear kind of the same kind of message of this person to person, this relationship, being who you are, allowing people to see who that individual is, who you are, all of your faults, and people just being authentic and striving for that authentic connection with two people and building those relationships, and just hearing kind of the same thread. We had Joellen Brooks on. She was humble and she was being authentic on one of the takeaways.
One of her most viral videos was when she was being humble. Remember when she didn't sell the house and pulled the sign up and said, "I didn't sell the house." That was pretty powerful. Like, I still think about it to this day.
Yeah, that's I guess that's what I'm trying to say is, as I'm formulating my thought, authenticity has been such a core message with everyone that we've kind of sat down with, and seeing them become their most authentic self. Nick Gonzalez had mentioned it too, about being on a team and with his mentor. Like, it's just been the kind of the underlying theme, or at least it's been my takeaway.
Totally agree. And you mentioned that with Nick, just the importance of being connected to people that help guide us is something that we had I think a really poignant conversation around, as far as the scarcity mindset kind of took hold for this industry as things shifted, and people kind of isolated themselves to not wanting to invest in the business and themselves, trying to essentially hoard whatever they're able to capture, versus you need to invest not only in the resources and the team and the support and the tools to touch more of your sphere and your audience, but also to be in rooms and on teams with people that bring value and complement your skill sets and help you think. I endlessly say I'm at my personal best when I'm not only coaching but being coached at the same time. And for me, they provide different types of things than I think oftentimes is discussed. Being coached isn't really, for me, the accountability driver. It's the creativity, the blind spot, the different way of thinking. Accountability for me comes in coaching, because it really pushes on if I'm preaching or saying someone should be doing this, I absolutely should be living the same standards.
Yeah, for sure.
And
if you're going to be authentic,
absolutely, and if you're going to feel like you're living and breathing what you're promoting and what you believe in, and it's a good way to kind of keep habits. And what I really liked with not only Nick and kind of his experience in getting on a team, and then hearing like you said what Jason was thinking, and then kind of going to Patrick Woods and what he's doing with his KW group, where he's really philosophically and strategically trying to do a lot of the same things that I know I'm focused on and we're focused on, as far as creating simple, dummy-proof, for lack of a better way of putting it, ways to implement some of these tools so that it's really easy to get started. It's really easy to get it going, and allow the brain to focus on being authentic, allow the brain to be creative and be yourself, as opposed to I'm focused on trying to make this thing work or get it going, which is actually a completely different brain space than sitting and thinking about something cool or fun to create. And so it's fun to hear where everybody's at with it and the thinking, and then how it, of course, it all comes back to how do we provide value to our partners and our customers in the end, and connect. So this ongoing conversation around that, and then how do you do that when you start thinking 2026 business planning? Because we're right now in that time of year where I think it's super obvious when you talk to people. Are they wound up, energized? You can see the wheels are turning because they are in 2026 business planning mode, or are they starting to check out because they're thinking about the upcoming holidays and the holiday season and the wind down, and they're not focused on finishing strong and making sure that they hit the ground running in 2026. There's a very distinct kind of mindset that you can tell when you talk to people. So what are you guys thinking about right now? What are you working on to start planning and prepping, and what are some strategies that you use for getting your business planning together for the following year?
For myself, I'm really kind of transitioning all my social media to be more authentic, because we keep hearing the word authentic, and I think some of the things I've not done right has been trying to be too perfect in a video. Perfect makeup, perfect hair. But if you notice viral videos, especially on TikTok, it's people that just woke up, really. Yeah. Those are the ones going viral. So I'm really going to work on that, and then to shorten my content even more. I think people's attention spans are even less. And then knowing that I'm going to talk TikTok for a little bit. On TikTok, you only go on the For You page, and they only push it out if a viewer watches 33% of that video. So if they watch over 33% of that video, they'll push it out to a bigger audience. So the longer your video, you understand what I'm saying? The harder it is to get that For You page. And remember, when you get pushed to the For You page, those are people who don't know you.
That's right.
These are new people that are potential followers. So I'm going to shorten my content, make it tighter and more authentic. I'm going to do that on all my platforms, I think, this year.
Sure.
And then to get uncomfortable, getting uncomfortable means growth. And so I am going to try some new things. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah. We'll hold you accountable.
But I know you
That'll
will.
be fun.
Yeah. And really, targeting and working with people that share my same views. Like, I really think if they're not embracing AI, if they're not embracing social media, that might not be a great partner for me. So I'm going to be more cognizant of working with people that are into the systems that I want to get better at.
Absolutely. Well, and again, I feel like I'm bringing it. I feel like it's a recap episode for us today, but like bringing it back to our guests that have been on here. And again, it's that same kind of thing of we've authentic. So you have your authentic self, you have your meeting someone that you can be belly to belly with, you know, that business that we learned from Katie. And it's like, you're aligning with all these people. We have someone like Jason where it's like, hey, he's going down this AI. This is a route that I want to go down. This is information that I want to get more. Let me align with someone like that. And so having just this podcast has been, and being behind the scenes has been so enlightening and empowering, because we're sitting down with people that wouldn't normally sit down and say, hey, be your most authentic self. Be in a situation where you're the most uncomfortable, where you in front of a camera with lights and with a microphone in your face. Tell us everything that you think about everything. And people's their walls come down, and then they are who they are. And you're like, oh, I'm learning from someone.
It's refreshing.
It's amazing. It really is. It's been such a fun, part of my week to be able to do this and to learn and to hear and see all these individuals doing very different things in a very unique yet similar way with similar attributes like authenticity, getting out of their comfort zone, just branching out, trying something new. I think Jason had, made a post after the podcast on his social media saying that he had done his second ever podcast in the same week, and it was ours, and it was like, he did a great job. You wouldn't know that, but it was refreshing to see and us to be a part of. And so it's just been a really cool thing to see, not to move away from the business planning, but part of, tagging on,
for sure,
aligning with what you're saying.
And I think the more uncomfortable you get, and then you accomplish it. And I think Jason was a speaker. He hates public speaking, but he had just finished a big public speaking event, and he grew so much from here to here. Yeah. You could just see it with his confidence level. Yeah. So yes, the more uncomfortable you get and then you accomplish it, the stronger you become.
Right.
Well, I think that, for me on that what you guys are saying in terms of the commentary, my brain in terms of strategically moving, Big Valley Mortgage forward, companies forward, leading salespeople in a direction, creating specific target points and value props. There's no quick and easy way to build a plan that's of any value or of any meaning, and it's going to actually produce anything overly successful in a short order. And it requires this way of thinking that involves, first off, being very clear on the overall goals in terms of not just numbers, but things like you're saying, like increased adoption, increased usage, getting in the areas that are important from a overarching branding and success space, like social and web and community events, and then coming up with, I think a list of your goals, of the things that you're going to do, is what a lot of people do in business planning, but what usually falls short is the actual really grounded foundational and tactical ways you're going to execute that, right? And then figuring out how to delegate that. And on a company level, I think it's easy for people to envision delegation, shared mindsets where, hey, we're aligned in things, but you're stronger in this, and you can do that very efficiently and effectively. You're an expert. You're going to take this and we're going to consolidate. So for me, there's a tremendous amount of power in like looking at the top of the mountain and then starting to figure out how we're taking step after step and addressing the challenges and having the time to navigate it. What I want to start seeing personally within the realm of everyone that we touch and to encourage people that are business planning is, you have to do that as an individual too, where you actually have to think about what should I be looking at delegating based on my assessment of my goals, and what are things that now, whether it's the use of AI like we're talking about, or aligning with people who fill in the blanks in the areas that you, in an honest assessment, can say, that's probably the one area where I'm going to fall short this year. Like, I don't love that. I don't do that well. That takes me a long time. I have to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
And really diagnosing it. That's a process I love. And I think, having planned with loan officers and real estate agents for nearly 20 years, most of the time there's not that honest look at what am I really going to commit to and follow through with. There's an ambitious, I planned it, and then all that stuff comes out later.
That's one of the things that I think I've noticed for all the years of being in the mortgage industry and business planning and doing that on a consistent basis every single year. You always have these stretch goals. You always have this overarching, this grand reach for something, as opposed to just doing that more of that atomic habits, the small incremental changes where you can measure something, and you can measure it with discipline, and you can measure it with consistency, and those little wins that you can do either in the first quarter, the second quarter, as opposed to going, well, we're going to triple our business in 2026. Yeah, we can try to break down how we can triple the business, but let's see if we can get 10 more deals or whatever it is in the first quarter of 2026. Now we're refining, we're honing in, we're following something that we can follow very quickly, very easily, and see it soon. So then those little tiny changes that will pair with discipline and pair with consistency will then start to grow. And then maybe that business might triple by the end of 2026. But if we set out to do something too huge and gigantic, and not pull it into what is it going to take day by day, even hour by hour, to accomplish that goal, you're never really ever going to reach those goals. You're always going to be like, oh, how did we not make that? Well, we didn't measure it with consistency and discipline. Most business plans measured with consistency and discipline succeed, even if you don't 100%. Triple. Yeah.
I think it's also important to mention here, this might be a little plug, but Hal Elrod is coming to Sacramento Association of Realtors October 16th at 9 in the morning. And
Did you say L. Ron Hubbard? Is that what? No, I'm just
Hal
kidding.
Elrod?
I'm just kidding.
He wrote the bestseller, The Miracle Morning. And I think people really need to look at their mornings, because that really sets the foundation for the rest of their day, 100%. Right? Let's just, if we're being honest, if you're not physically and mentally fit, it's really hard to carry out and execute the goals that you have. Yeah. So I think it's very important that you look at the structure of your life and set it up appropriately. That book changed my life. I implemented his systems about 15 years ago and have not missed a morning, and it is game changer.
Well, it's like the message that you hear about making your bed, and you're like, where's the value in making my bed? Well, the value is you did something and you had a small win before you started your day.
100%.
And it starts that mindset, and it really does put you on that right track.
It does reset you. Yeah. Even if you had a really challenging day the day before, it just like resets your whole mind, because your mind is so powerful.
Yeah. Well, the routine concept is the same. I always liken it as, like, when I was an athlete, there was a mental prep process of putting on my uniform and getting ready to play a game that was fundamentally different than putting on the practice gear. Each of them had a mental preparation that, like, the physical habit and process mentally brought me into a space that was where I needed to be optimally to be ready to perform, to compete. And whether it's making your bed or, different repetitive habits that you do in the morning to get ready or prep for a meeting, all those things, like the physical body can trigger the mind, and the mind can trigger the body, and you've got to be in sync. And the one thing that I would challenge anyone to do, and I'm getting better about this right now, is having the really honest conversation with yourself about what you're going to learn or invest in doing or getting better at, and what you can really truly believe, like, this is something I should really be focused on, how I'm going to delegate or outsource this, because the chances of me in a disciplined way following through on this are slim to none. And I don't think that conversation is had in an honest enough way for most of us. And so what we end up doing, to this whole point we're just talking about, is we put the things that we will do in with the things that we aren't really going to follow through on, and eventually the things that we stop following through on bleed into the sense of failure, the things that I didn't do that I said I was going to do, and they start to potentially affect what we could be doing, because it's like repetitive failure or the reminder, I didn't do that again today. I didn't do it again today, versus I'm not doing that. I'm outsourcing that because I know I won't. And that level of honesty within yourself is something to look at for people, because then your conversation is, I won again. I did everything I said I was going to do. And when you start building that, that's a completely different mentality day to day versus always looking back going, I didn't do those things.
Yeah.
And just being really upfront with yourself, I'm not going to, so I should put my energy elsewhere. That is, like, to me, one of the easiest things when I see top producing salespeople, and you and I have had this conversation too, they are lead generators, they're networkers, they're connectors. And the idea of convincing them that they're going to somehow become obsessed about micro details in their business that other people won't is fool's gold. Just figure out how to build in a support team that takes care of that so they can stay in their lane is a good example. So I've always found it easy to build around people with a certain mindset, because they're creating abundance in one area, so you can create the support infrastructure behind it. But for a lot of us, we haven't taken that honest look, right? We see, hey, we go to a seminar, we go to our symposium that we just went to, and it's like, you should do all these things, and then we want to, but we haven't really decided what we can really commit to or not.
Yeah, it's funny, because this message that we're kind of talking about, or this mindset, is so prevalent in my house right now, because I have 2 kids going through big transitions. I have my oldest is starting junior high, and so it's been a big change and a shift for her. We had a rough morning this morning with her, just trying to get off to school and all of that, and it's been hard. And she finally broke down and was like, "It's hard. This is really hard." And it's like, yeah, we totally get it. And my youngest, same thing. But we go to sometimes actions will help us dictate our attitude. We don't need our attitude to dictate our actions. And I think a lot of times we get stuck when we're going to motivation and we're like, oh, I'm excited. I have all this attitude, this positive attitude. And it doesn't always then equate to us changing behaviors or doing the things that we're motivated to do, where we really see the consistent change and growth in ourselves and within our business is setting discipline and saying, regardless of what my attitude is, my action is going to be X, I'm setting out to do this today. So my attitude doesn't feel like I want to do that, or I'm not motivated to do it, but that's my goal today and I'm doing it. And a lot of times our actions will change our attitude. So that message is prevalent in my house. So it felt relevant here.
For sure. And I've said this before, is that top 1%, the only true difference is they set goals, standards, disciplines, and they never deviate. Yeah, so they do,
regardless of how they feel.
Right. They do what they're supposed to do no matter what.
That's
and
right.
That really is the difference. So I think going into 2026, if you would lay out a clear, concise, easy execution, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes people get so involved with too many things that they don't do anything. So my plan will be simple, detailed, quantifiable, and just an easy thing for me to do. So I will do it no matter what. I think that's the key to any plan is don't overcomplicate it. And you nailed it. Make sure you're doing action items that fit you. Yes. I don't like certain things, so I'm not putting them in my business plan, but I'm going to crush the ones that I'm good at. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And delegate the stuff I don't like.
And it's going to keep wins in your column, because you're not getting sucked into I failed again, or because I didn't do what I was already not going to do because I hate doing it.
Right.
If you do it, you won't consistently do it, or you won't do it as well, or it takes too long.
While the motivation's there.
There's all those things, but it is just, comes with time. Like, we all have to grow and add new things to our lives.
Yes.
But there's a recognition and a self-assessment that, you have to make in all of those, because the worst thing is to have the list of what you set out and didn't do be much larger than the list that you're doing, and having that ultimately affect your motivation because you feel like you're failing every day versus succeeding.
Correct. And I think there also needs to be in your yearly plan a 90-day reset where you really reevaluate what your 90-day plan was and say, okay, this wasn't effective. I'm going to shift it. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to do a little bit more. Because you know that we set goals that don't work. And we're like, we got to change that system or that strategy. Instead of carrying it the whole year, get rid of it. Switch it up and pivot.
Well, and bring energy into your life and into your day that complements where you're trying to go. I mean, I tell my kids, same thing my parents told me, right? Like, look around and you essentially become a product of the friends that you.
Well, let's talk about that. I think that's a great transition subject.
All right, let's go.
The friends that you hang around, which I've really in the last couple of years have impacted me, because you're right. The 5 people you hang around, you become. And I think a lot of us need to look at that. And are they causing you to grow? Are they being honest with you and telling you what you probably don't want to hear? Because that's where the growth comes in. Sure. I don't know if you've struggled with that or what you think about that.
No, I couldn't agree more. You know, that the saying is, you know, if you hang out with 5 successful people, you'll become the 6th. If you hang out with 5 unsuccessful people, you'll become the 6th. You know,
100%.
So yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think we are a product. I also think, I'll say in the spirit of being authentic, one of those things is as you grow and as you learn, it gets hard to disconnect from those people that perhaps may not be growing at the same rate that you're growing. And so it's not that you necessarily need to remove people from your life all the time, but there is an assessment, like you're saying, to look at who we are, where are we going, and are we with the right people? And so sometimes the natural breaks do happen, and it becomes a hard thing. And I think people fear those breaks. I know I do. And it becomes hard because you're like, it's almost like you have to reframe it. It's not that I'm becoming a better person than this person.
Right.
It's I'm growing and moving to a different space in my life, and this person is staying and remaining. And those natural breaks just happen and occur. And so that's one of the things that becomes hard is as you grow, your friend group, your peer groups change. And that is a unique thing to navigate, because most people don't lean into that piece. You're like, grow. Why does my life look completely different and I don't have all the same people in my life? Well, because you're growing.
They need to add value. And I think on the business front, where I personally feel very passionate, strong amount of conviction in the industry that we've all made our careers in.
Yeah.
There has to be that kind of a dynamic in the people that you partner with. And, there's at times I think the formation of relationships that involve, you do this and I do this and we support the customer, that is of value. But in today's world, especially with what's going on, I want to sit in a room and go, all right, we're all collaboratively strategic partners. We're serving customers together, but the very same things that I'm building out or that we're doing to grow, you're thinking and you bring a different energy and a different value and a different skill set. And so together you start getting these 1 + 1 = 3 relationships. And I don't necessarily think that everyone looks for that because they want to stay safe and familiar.
Oh, that's a great call out, actually.
That's that's kind of what I was alluding to.
On the business front. And I think that's an important thing for salespeople. If you want to grow, you need to be thinking about pursuing and forming relationships with partners, mentors, companies, leaders that have that same ambition, that same goal, and are trying to tackle the same things. If you're not, and you have to come up with all of that energy, that's where I think you sell yourself short.
And I truly think if we are getting better or consistently trying to become better, you're going to be uncomfortable a majority of your life, because it's going to become, once you become comfortable, you're finding the other area that you need growth in, and you're going to become uncomfortable. And especially in business, once you hit that 100 million, if that's your goal, that's not the end. Now let's go to 200 million, because we've opened up a whole nother channel or a whole nother aspect or avenue of my business that I didn't know existed because I hadn't hit 100 million yet. Now I've hit it. Now I realize, I enjoy the marketing piece. Now I want to do commercials or whatever. I don't know. I'm just giving some examples. But this idea of constantly being uncomfortable is going to be where growth is taking place, and you're just get used to it. Maybe it's a message. I think maybe it's
get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I mean, as I was saying, get comfortable being uncomfortable. The thing from an athlete's perspective, one of the things I've had to kind of learn how to understand on a personal level is this concept, like, you just turn the page. So you win a game, you're excited, but all you're looking at is all the things that you didn't do as well. You lose a game, you're looking at all the things that you didn't do to win, how you can get 5 points better or 1 run better, 2 pitches, whatever it is. The constant obsession for improvement is a huge driver for success in people. And I think sometimes in life, it can get out of balance where you're not taking a moment to pause, enjoy things, and kind of, take stock in where you are. But that mindset, I am so strong in my belief that that's how you are constantly growing, is that when you evaluate yourself, you're not stuck in just being happy and content with what you did right. You're looking at all the ways that you can get better constantly, and being around people who help you see that and help you get better. I mean, that coaching, leadership, again, partnerships, like, do they bring you inspiration? Do they bring you motivation? Do they bring new ideas? Do they help you solve problems? Do they fill a gap of a weakness? Are they committed to the same things, the same service levels? These are all questions that are deeper, stronger relationships that we should be trying to form within partnerships, within the companies that we work for, the cultures that we create, which is as over cliched as culture is, like, really what we're talking about is creating a culture within your teams, your companies, your groups, your partnerships that drive you where you want to go.
Yeah, I think, and going back to the mindset, how powerful mindset is. And I was talking to my son this week, and he's so beyond his years. He's like, Mom, you have to use every opposition as an opportunity. If you could switch your mindset to everything that goes wrong is actually an opportunity to get better or to have a better opportunity, your whole world would change. And I was like, let me think about that. You're right. Everything that is not going right in my world, if I switched it to, this is a huge opportunity to do something different, it opens up a lot of doors. And I think I want to surround myself in 2026 with people with that type of mindset. And like you just described, like, are they inspiring me? Are they causing me to grow? That's who I want to be around in 2026.
Well, and that is the fundamental component of human connection too, of like sharing ideas and ultimately shared goals, shared visions. Those are huge. And for me, sports, born, raised, grew up in it. There's probably not a thing that goes through my day where there isn't some coach or lesson or something in the back of my head that's running through. And I like to use sports, to kind of both free up my brain and also kind of create a little levity. But, I'm looking at locally here. Have you guys been watching?
Yes.
Did you see the Giants last night?
And like
Scattaboo. I was like, what?
Like a sack product that is, becoming a like New York legend right now.
Legend. Yeah. He's incredible.
I love the way he plays too. Oh. I love just his leave it all on the field mindset.
And he's undersized.
Yep.
I love just his spirit and his spunk. And I watched him at Sac State. Yes.
Was he ASU too?
Yes. Yeah. He finished his last year at ASU. Is that right?
Yeah. And
senior year.
Sac product and like the backflips, the energy, like the
I love
he's
it.
something.
The combination. It's cool to see, like you can see the energy with, the two rookies that has, wow, like what a difference.
Yeah. What about that quarterback? Where did he come from?
Absolutely. First of all, I got to comment on that bling last night. Did you on that Monday night game?
Oh my goodness.
You're like, first of all, I already know who this kid is because of that necklace. I love that. And then he just plays the way that necklace represents. Like, just if you're going to wear that much bling on the football field, you got to back it up. And he sure as heck did. Like, that was amazing to see.
Watching those games, like, just reflects like how what we were just talking about, you insert a new energy, a new thing, and how it becomes infectious.
It's a mindset,
And as someone who's obsessed with creating an environment that helps people succeed, like nothing is more fun to watch than when you can just see without having to actually describe what is the obvious benefit of someone that has infected a group and a culture with a positive energy and changed whether it's hope and so I think that's really cool, to watch. And on the athlete front, with a lot of the stuff that we talk about, a lot of my inspiration around launching, my other podcast, the Triple J Sports Podcast, was that environment, that, connection to sports and the thinking and the disciplines, but also the same thing is going on throughout the world. Like, we have our industry and people forming relationships and being in front of their customer base and their sphere. And you see the same thing with athletes everywhere. Like, turn on and find an athlete that doesn't have a podcast now, right? I mean, you can go, I was just looking again through the list. You've got Mike Bibby's doing his podcast. Now he's coaching at Sac State. You've got DeMar DeRozan. These are just some Sacramento guys. Eric Armstead, another Sac product, and Gus Armstead is a Sac legend for all of us, athletes that played basketball and worked out with him. But his son's, former Niner star, and now he's doing one. And everywhere I look, I see these, right? And I say that and bring that up, one, because it's cool. And for me, obviously, I geek out on the sports, but it's cool to see them as people. And it's cool to see, for the audience and for fans to like get a chance to see an actual narrative that they tell. Mm-hmm. And I want to make this point to anyone who's still like, man, I'm afraid to get on, I'm afraid to talk. Start looking at all these people that are getting on, including athletes who you would say, why would they need to do it? They're already famous. And see what's happening and use that as another reminder as to why people want to hear what you have to say. And like in the 2026 planning vein, like one of my things I'm trying to connect the dots on is to help people understand there is an audience that wants to hear what you have to say. And I don't care how big, small, how experienced, how young, how old, there is an audience. And all you have to do is put yourself out there and have enough confidence to ignore the
noise.
The noise.
Most of that noise is most likely in your own head anyway.
100%. You're right. Yeah. That's yourself telling yourself that you're not good enough or you're not going to show well on video, which everyone says that. I think that if they would just dive in and realize all the benefits from video, and it's not self-serving. It helps your SEO. It's going to help all your business strategies. It's going to help your confidence. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to be great your first couple times. You're not. I'm just going to tell you right now, you can look at my videos. They're awful. Not that they're great now, but you just get more confident, more eloquent. You just do. And I think if you jump in, it won't bother you.
No.
I mean, even you could see Jason, who, hasn't been on a lot of podcasts. He became more and more comfortable and more confident every minute that you talked, if you notice that. And I think it's incredible if you just jump in.
Well, and I don't know if I know I've said it to hundreds of people that we've tried to bring in to sit down and do this with us. But the most enlightening thing for me is you being seen on camera or you seeing yourself on camera is only news to you. Anyone that you're involved with knows what you look like, know what you sound like. It's just new to you. You're the only one that's new in this equation of, oh, that's what I look. I didn't know I did that with my hands. Everyone else you work with knows you do that with your hands, and they've chosen to continue to work with you. So your hands aren't the problem, or your face isn't the problem, or your voice isn't the problem. It's just you recognizing, oh, that's what I do with my hands. I didn't know I did that. And so it's you getting in your own way. It's other people have already chosen to like you, talk to you, enjoy your presence. It's just you that's seeing it for the first time from someone else's perspective. So get you out of the equation, be you, be in front of that camera, be in front of that microphone, and be your most authentic self, be your most vulnerable self, if I can even go one step further, because people always will be attracted, or the right people, let me say it that way. I think that's more important. People will always be more attracted to them, to a more vulnerable self. So if you said, hey, I'm super nervous to be on this podcast, but I'm excited to do it, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I was nervous too.
I feel.
And then it just walls come down and people really go, yeah, great. And now you've let people into who you authentically are. And then the people that are attracted to that are already attracted to the way your hands move, the way your face, the way your voice sounds, and to who your personality is. And so you're getting true connections. And if that's really of value to you, then those relationships are that foundation is already being laid because they've chosen to follow up with you, talk to you, enjoy content that you've created, so on and so forth.
Well, being authentic and honest about where you're at also provides people with the cue for what they can do to provide value to you, right? Like letting someone know you're nervous can be the difference between them thinking you're shy, you're rude, you're standoffish. Like you never know if what you're giving off can be interpreted one way
Sure.
that could be negative versus being a complete opposite. And so, the other benefit of that is also giving people an opportunity to give you what would be beneficial versus trying to figure it out themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who kind of takes pride in trying to draw that out in people and works hard to try to understand that so that I can direct, our resources or what I'm trying to give them in terms of leadership for what they need, not what matters to me. It's great when people are, quick to share that. And that brings me to a question that I want to zip in on. Part of this, we talk accountability, we talk, inspiration. Mentors and coaches have played a big part in my life in guiding me and opening doors, helping me grow, giving me confidence, seeing things in me that I didn't yet see in myself, validating that, the things I believed or, others saw. And I've got a big, strong belief system in the importance of all of us, not only seeking and pursuing having mentors and coaches, but letting people know the impact that they've had on us and using that in the course of our business planning and is identifying those people that are going to be in our plans for those years, asking for their mentorship or their guidance or whatever they add. Who are some people that have mentored you in your careers and your life that have offered value or helped you grow? Is there anybody or any groups of people that you want to highlight that have made an impact?
Oh, there's so many. There's just so many. But I mean, I'll start. I do attend the Bayside Business Cohorts, and Judd Boyce was my leader, and really just looking at you as a person and seeing, look, if I want to partner with you, here's what I see that I don't like. I don't know how many of us have people in our lives that tell you what they don't like about you. And that's pretty powerful. And so he gave me some pointers and, I've had to adjust a little bit, but I didn't see it. It was like my blind spot.
Sure.
And I think that those are the people that you want to look for in your 2026 partnerships. But, I mean, gosh, you could go, Justin. I just got to figure out who I'm going to talk about. There's just a lot of people that have shaped and molded kind of from my kids to my parents to my church to my friends.
I've been lucky to have quite a few mentors in my life, but it's funny. It's never been in a business setting. And it's always something that it's always been a desire of mine. I even had it's funny. I might as well be authentic and vulnerable and in front of mics and cameras. But I've always thought it'd be a fun podcast to have because I feel like the only area of my life I've had it spiritually, I've had it with like relationships and, older married couples leading my wife and I in marriage and counseling and things like that. So I've had it in most personal aspects, even in coaching as far as like working out or things like that, having trainers and people involved in that aspect of my life. But on the business side, it's one of the areas where I never really had a mentor. And so having a podcast where it's like going to someone like yourself that's like, hey, you've had a business mentor, tell me those stories and almost like mentor me through your mentor. And so maybe I need to maybe that's part of my business plan is start a podcast for 2026 about mentors. But yeah, it's truthfully, I have great stories, but it's all personal. It's not even necessarily, I've never been lucky enough to have someone in business come alongside and say, hey, you know, I want
like
you to,
an official coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. People inspire me. More personal than a coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've never really had a coach, to be honest with you.
Well, and I've always loved
except at high school.
Sure.
College.
Right. Yeah. In sports and things like that.
Yeah.
But in the business side of the world, but I've always enjoyed personal improvement. Mm-hmm. And so reading books, that's always been, so there's always some element of mentor because you're reading something or you're gleaning information, or like even this podcast, like what I was saying, I've learned from our guests, you know, a ton. So there is little elements of mentors, but I haven't had that, you know, business mentor that's been in your life for 25 years saying, this is what I don't like about you. I want to see you grow here, or, you know, X, Y, or Z.
Well, one of the things on that, and this would be my response to that with both of you guys too, is
you want to mentor me, Phil?
One of my mentors, that, you know, I really, really appreciated over my career was the one to tell me that you have to invite mentors into your life. You have to ask them. And that the having the, like, recognizing and asking people, you know, seeing someone that you want to offer that, there is an element of taking ownership that you want to learn from them, that you want them to mentor you, that you can learn. And I think that's an important thing to take control of your life and to bring that around you, right? Because not only is that obviously a compliment to people, but when you're very clear on what you're looking for, you invite more authentic feedback. You invite more, you know, very structurally constructive feedback intentionally in the communication. And, you know, that, to me, whether it was my athletic background, like I grew up, my father was a huge mentor for me my whole life. And I learned all sorts of great things, things, you know, that I tell him all the time. I'm like, you taught me in the things that, how to do certain things differently that didn't work, you know, as well as all the things that you did well. Yeah. But you were always there and like, you know, biggest support system, as was my mom. But I had coaches throughout my career, and you know, Jerry Tarkanian made a huge impact on me. John Welch, coaches I had at Fresno State. Greg Klink, who I played for at UC Davis, became a mentor as an assistant. Actually, he and I've talked about this over the years, was the person who knew enough about me to call me the day that I was actually really thinking about quitting in my college career based on what had gone down. And he was the one who called me and saw it in the moment. And he's been a professional mentor. I've coached underneath him in my career, and he just recently retired, and we'll be having him on here soon. But his care for me and willingness to give me great feedback, you know, has been huge. And I think for me, taking a moment and pausing and looking at those people, and then kind of doing refreshers on what they've taught us on the personal level can have applications in business, right? Because it affects your confidence, it affects your mindset. Yeah, 100%. And I think that, you know, even when it's not business related, that they can be used if you just put some intentional thought behind it. But on the business front, like, you know, I know in the beginning, Tori Larson is, you know, lives down in San Diego. They founded Synergy One Lending, you know, way back, you know, almost a decade ago, but learned so much from him, asked for his mentorship, and I'm actively reaching out right now again to kind of reconnect. But I think following my own advice, asking, looking for is something we need to ask.
I know. I was gonna say. I think what he's saying is I need to be authentic and be vulnerable and ask for the mentorship. Got it. I got it.
Yeah. Same.
You ask, guys. I'm doing it right now. We all need it, and I would encourage everyone, you know, watching.
No, that's great.
Find somebody and ask.
Huge advice.
You're right. Like I'm in groups, like I'm in women's groups, but I don't have a one person. Does that make sense? Because then I'm not as vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
I got it.
I haven't asked for it. It's my fault. You know.
Yeah, I have not.
Because that's true. Because like I'm gonna bring it into like the sports thing, but like in the gym, I'm not walking through the gym and someone goes, "Hey, I want to train you." You're there, you're doing your thing. You go, "Hi, I'd like to have a trainer, please."
That's a great analogy.
You know, I'd like to have a trainer. Then they go, "Cool, let's pair you with someone that'll make you better."
Yes, I like it.
You gotta stand up. You gotta put your hand up first and foremost before someone is walking up going, "Hey, you need a trainer?"
100%. There are people I admire in our real estate that I look at and just go, "Wow." Yeah, me too. Like I aspire to be like that.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, I mean, Kurt Reisig is like come for me. Like, I mean, I
There's
have
one
this
right there.
incredible fortune of having his mentorship, in what I do. And I'm just constantly, I thought it was
too on the nose. I didn't want.
No, constantly just super, super grateful that I have, his ear and I have his brain and his insight. And, I know for all of us, if we're going to succeed in 2026, we need to make sure that we follow what we would tell our kids about putting people around us that are going to help us, live up to being our best.
Yeah.
And having some fun along the way, right?
Absolutely. For sure.
So, in that vein, shifting a little bit here on, supporting and collaborative, revisiting, we did a poll. I wanted to zip back before we kind of head towards the end here. First car, best restaurants. We got the data back. And
we do.
It's taken a little longer. We'll get faster with our polls, but a few episodes back, we asked you guys to give us your first car. And so we've got our poll back, and I'm not surprised by the results. Seeing Honda Accords and Honda Civics high on the list did not shock me.
I made note of some of the cool ones, and I think you guys are going to get some insight on what I think are cool cars. But there was a 1970 Mustang, a 1965 Corvair convertible. That's questionable on the cool, but it's still unique in and of itself. 69 Dodge Dart. And a 67 Impala. These are all people's first cars, too.
Wow.
That was kind of fun. But there was tons of Honda Civics. There was tons of Honda Accords. Obviously, we share I don't know if you know this. We share the same first car.
Oh, I didn't.
The
iconic
Ford Probe.
The iconic
Ford Probe with the automatic
You don't laugh at
seatbelts.
that.
I'm not laughing.
Julie,
oh my
you did not laugh at that.
I had a Mustang, too.
I was just going to say, that
so
was
much cooler.
The other one that was a high was the
Mustang.
Ford Mustang. There was a lot of Ford Mustangs, which is probably a much cooler version than the Probe. But I think the data.
Well, that's questionable. I mean, it's subjective.
And the other Ford was the Ford Bronco, was pretty popular. with the group.
Definitely.
The old school one.
Yep.
My second car was a Dodge Dakota. That's not that much cooler. That's pretty lame.
Mine was an Explorer, so that was.
Okay.
But see how we both went. We went a little more. I don't know. I don't know the right word. A little manlier. Is that? Can I say that in 2025?
I'm not even sure what the direction was. It was being 6'7", it was just a little easier to get in and out of. For starters,
but it didn't have that cool automatic seatbelt, man.
Oh,
yeah, no doubt. Well,
or pop-up headlights.
The pop-up headlights. What is the?
Did your Mustang have pop-up headlights?
No.
You're right.
But one of the things that I'm passionate about is creating an environment where we can create 1 + 1 = 3 equations all over the place, right? Supporting each other and helping, take resources and promote. And there was a couple of my buddies who were running businesses and some different things as we head into the holidays. So you'll see here, audience, we've got Center Cork Wine, a good friend of mine and a former teammate, a sports-centric individual, the CEO, Demetrius Porter, started this brand a while ago. They've got phenomenal wine based out of Fresno, and we'll put it in the description section for any of you who are looking for wine for events and or gifts for the holiday season. We will get you guys a promo code, an opportunity to order a variety of his high-end wine online. So shout out to my boy Demetrius and a promo, and we'll have to get him in here to talk business and support our events in 2026 as well. So, and then also Give Culture, another one of my good friends and a fantastic nonprofit that focuses on providing not only, collaborative partnerships with companies, but their mission is to really help the mental health and the mindset of today's youth in, being good to each other, building relationships, thinking about others first, which is why the I is lowercase in their brand. And so we'll put the link in there. There's all sorts of opportunities. If you guys are interested in the swag, feel free to purchase a shirt, or if you have teams in our industry, real estate mortgage, and you're looking for event swag, you can collaborate with them and join on events. So want to shout out to my guy Noel Felix and his wife Shauna, great cause. So
Julie, we're gonna need you to help us set up a TikTok shop.
Okay, I'm on
That's
it.
hard to say. I haven't said that.
So you're doing the stuff, and this is kind of why we're feeding in one. I really, believe in what these guys are doing. They are, quality people. They really fit in my world, right? They're athletes that have, now developed into the business world. Noel actually, was a longtime pro, played in the NBA, was teammates with LeBron James at one point and stuff. So, it's kind of a cool thing with me to see what he's doing with his wife. But creating these situations where we're providing value to our customers is, a big mindset beyond transactional relationships, right? Thinking outside the box. Like when we do a loan, we want to provide more to our customers and maintain an engagement. When a real estate agent closes a transaction, it's not just that you've created the house, it's what other things, right? This thinking. And with that, as I shift the topic to what you and I talked about before, ways to explore and think more freely about how you can provide value and create business relationships and opportunities outside of your primary is another thing that I want to encourage people to start thinking about moving forward, because the world is changing and you can benefit from it. And you have done that with your platform. So share with us how that evolves and what you've been able to do while being a professional that built out your own platform, and how that's actually led to other forms of income and partnerships.
Yeah, again, there's just so many opportunities to make money on social media. And when you invest the time and the hours into creating video, you can leverage some of that video to gain your following and to build an audience. Well, businesses want to partner with people with influence, no matter what you're talking about. It doesn't have to be, I do mine on beauty and fitness, and, I have a whole other channel and something else. But when you have influence, you have trust. And so I've worked with probably over 500 companies, and just in
500?
500. I've done over 500 collaborations, and it's just building trust. It could be me walking to the store, but I use this lipstick or whatever I use. And that's all that you need to do. If you are interested in maybe monetizing some of your social media platforms, primarily on TikTok, you need about 5,000 followers. In some instances, it's only 1,000, but generally speaking, in the U.S., you need 5,000 followers. Really easy to get there. There are ways to do that. I could help you, but that's all you need. And then you can start selling things in your home if they're on TikTok Shop. You don't need to be given products. There's so many products in your home right now that are on TikTok Shop.
That's huge. I didn't even know that.
Yes.
You don't have to be, no one has to come to you.
No. And people think that, but you could sell a brush that you have, or lotion, or if you really love it, link it in TikTok Shop, and then you get paid. You get paid for selling it. It's pretty simple. And people don't know the simplicity and how undersaturated TikTok Shop is. You might think it is, but if you look at the numbers, it's totally undersaturated. Then you add the video component, which is the lives. Well, what do people hate doing? Being on video, right? So that's even lower. So if you do lives, you make more money. They're very hard. I do them. You have to do an hour minimum. And talking to yourself, like if we did a podcast by ourselves, that's what a live is like. Really
I talk
hard.
to myself all day long, and people think I'm a weirdo for
Phil,
it, so that's probably fine.
This might work for you then. So yeah, talking about products by yourself is tough. But I mean, again, it's an undersaturated market that you might want to look into.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We should have a little segment.
That's
TikTok.
super. Well, I know we
segment.
should do a how to, but I think that's what you're doing that I think is really just a cool point for people to think about, right? Is real estate, let's take real estate for one. All the things that a realtor provides within the realm of selling a home or buying a home that are connections to vendors and partners and different things around, whether it's furniture or things within the home, those are things that set apart a lot of real estate agents that are successful right now as it is, right? And with some of these platforms and the mindsets, if you, again, are putting a little thought towards, there is a greater there that is available to you down the road. If that helps you have a little more inspiration, a little more discipline to stay the course and pursue it and think, okay, if it's the idea of another income stream, if it's the idea of being able to provide added value, and now I've sold a house, provided a loan, and they can follow me on social, and I can connect them to other products that I believe in that are of value, or other vendors. Those are all things that create a relationship that continues and value added with our customers. And I just think that's something people should be a little bit more aware of in their thinking, as opposed to, I've got to somehow create that.
Oh, that's the
ground up.
You're so right. Like, the time you invested could pay off so much. You have to remember, there's just not TikTok Shop. So I also get paid from collaborations for businesses that want me to promote whatever. So taking the real estate agent, they could promote luxury finishes, cabinetry, appliances, right? If they really are an influencer, I really like this. There's so much, and companies pay a lot of money to just mention their product. So yeah, that should motivate you to get on those videos, build an audience, and develop trust.
Develop the trust.
Have I mentioned the amount of Air Jordans that I have? I don't know if there's something that if anyone would like to sponsor.
I don't know about Nike. I don't know if they're on TikTok Shop, but maybe someday.
Well, that's the point.
I have a lot of those in my home. I'd like to put those on a shop, and
you can be a seller. There's
create trust and support, and provide, referrals and, essentially testimonials behind things that you know and believe in. No different than referring a landscaper that's handled the landscaping on your, when you start doing that. I know for me, one of my biggest pet peeves is when I have to go start shopping for something. And because I end up being so analytical and finding all the details, I can find myself running down a rabbit hole to finally get to a decision. So I may spend way more time looking and shopping and dissecting, or just get fed up and buy something because I'm not interested. So when I'm able to get something where someone is providing me with a referral or a reason that I can trust that this is going to be what I want, it's like a huge lift, because I know I just cut out all that thinking, and I'm going to get right to just get it done and move on.
I want to leave with one stat that I just discovered this week. 39% of people make their decision of buying, purchasing, or selecting on tonality. Tonality.
Define tonality.
Tonality is expression, eye contact, the tone of your voice, right?
Sure.
You can't do that through email, through text. So how important would video be if 39% of their decision is made on tonality?
That's
a
huge
final thought
percentage.
to leave you with.
Yeah. Well, that tonality, and really want to land the plane on the idea of value to them, right? For me, I have zero interest in personally watching my own videos or going on and checking myself out or being excited about it. But I am so intensely passionate about giving value and providing a path to success for people that I work with. And I know so many professionals that are just as passionate and intense about wanting to be the elite value provider in their area, right? And if you are leading with that in what you're doing, making money comes from that. That's what it is. And so, everything we're talking about isn't to disconnect. It's just putting thought into what is it your audience is looking for? What is your sphere looking for? So, but I think it's cool what you are describing, because I'll just use myself for a perfect example. The idea of trying to figure out how to accomplish that, in the beginning, my initial assumption around a TikTok or whatever is that that's a lot of time invested on figuring out how to do that I did not have an interest in going into that rabbit hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
It felt like it would be a tall order and a big commitment. So to find out that some of these things are not nearly as challenging, or they coincide with your activities.
Yep.
That's a big part. And I'm obsessed with, hey, what I'm doing here and what I'm doing here and what I'm doing here, they're all running, but they all feed each other. And that's what our industry is about, because when you buy a home, there's about 500 other things that go into owning a home, right?
Absolutely,
that people want. And it's usually the hidden costs and the things that people didn't anticipate, or the stress of finding people that they can trust to work on it, contractors, all those things. So I think it's cool. And obviously for you, what would you say is the best kind of product or connection with your, with what you do that helped you kind of clear that hurdle? Like, what was the thing that got you over the hump and said, all right, I'm comfortable promoting this? Or how did you get your first one going? Like, go from I'm not to I am now in motion and I'm adding to it.
I think when you get that first one, and mine was, believe it or not, I'm in the sun and the snow a lot. So it was a moisturizing lip balm, and I sold hundreds and hundreds of them. So I knew with the simplicity of that video, and I did that video last minute under pressure. It was not my best video, but that one took off because it was authentic. And I was like, this really helps my lips, right? And that was my product where I thought, if I can fill a need, that's the value I bring. It's not about selling something. It's like, this makes my life easier. I'm going to share it with you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you have that attitude about anything, you'll be successful. And that was the turning point when I figured
probably
out.
Changed your tonality.
I did change my tonality, right? Because I was genuine and authentic.
You were, yeah,
right.
absolutely. We've kept the theme consistent today.
Good job. Nice close.
Right?
Yeah, you're welcome.
100%. And
the
you
producer in me.
Selling something that you believe in and that you use, and that's what people want, right? They don't want to be being sold junk or garbage.
Correct.
Or stuff that's not valuable. So,
yeah,
no, that's, to me, fun to talk about all these things. Chance for us to kind of dig into some different areas.
Big shout out to everyone who's been on the podcast.
Yes.
Hey,
thank
and
you.
Actually, I wanted to touch before we go. Big shout out to Julie. Julie brings value every single week in,
Justin.
week out. Like, no, 100%. I'll tell you. I'll count you as a mentor. Can we? Will you mentor me?
I'll take it. No.
No.
I'm definitely not good enough.
Vulnerability.
Not good enough to mentor you.
No, I'm just
maybe
kidding.
on TikTok I'll help you with
No,
that.
but no, there's always been something. You've always given
you.
little
Appreciate
nuggets every
that.
week, and so yeah.
Appreciate you for running this whole show. You do so much, and we appreciate you.
Well, we got Jocelyn behind the scenes now,
Yes.
so shout out to Jocelyn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we can't turn the camera on her, but the combination of being able to execute it, and what I really love is the organic dynamic of how it's you're able to connect, and you've been able to connect us and bring some guests to us that have part of your day-to-day business activities feeding in, and super grateful, and love the where we're headed with it, and the input and the feedback we're getting from people. So for those of you watching, and if you have an interest on joining the show, being a guest, bringing your story, or coming to talk about a particular focus you have, or area that you're passionate about, hit us up. Feel free to message us directly on social media. Hit us up on our channel. Contact us directly. We'd love to have you on.
Slide into those DMs.
Yes.
Slide into those DMs.
Get uncomfortable.
That has a lot of double entendre meanings in this world, but for which I'm not really familiar, but I understand. I've been married too long to know that world. But from all of us here, I'm your host, Phil Rasmussen. Thanks for checking us out again in another episode of the Blitz Break. We'll be back again next week with some more guests, some more conversation, and hope you all have a great week and get started on your 2026 business planning.